Just like the cities that stagger on the coastline, in a nation that just can't stand much more. Like the forest buried beneath the highway, never had a chance to grow. Never had a chance to grow. And now it's winter. Winter in America. Yes, and all of the healers have been killed, sent away. Yeah, but the people know it's winter.
That was Gil Scott-Heron with Winter in America. Welcome to the Rise Weekly Review for November 23rd to November 29th, 2020. We'd like to begin with a public service announcement. Police are looking for assistance from the community for help in finding a missing 14-year-old Florida girl who was last seen in South Chicago. Anaya Granger was last seen Saturday on 84th and Manistee. She is 5'5", weighs 120 pounds, has brown eyes, and brown hair that she wears in braids. She reportedly also suffers from a medical condition. Anyone with information is asked to contact Area 2 detectives at 312-747-8274. In other news, a 27-year-old man was murdered in South Chicago on Saturday. The man, identified as Lacey Shepard, was walking down 90th and Commercial Avenue around 2:15 p.m. when he reportedly heard gunshots. According to Chicago Police and Cook County Medical Examiner, he soon felt pain. Following the incident, he was taken to South Shore Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. On Tuesday, a 30-year-old man was shot to death inside a South Chicago home. Brandon Jefferson was found dead inside a home on 81st and South Bennett. He was shot in the back multiple times in the early morning hours around 4:40 a.m. Area 2 detectives are investigating the incident, and nobody has yet been reported in custody. A Thanksgiving stabbing left a man dead near the border of Hammond and Calumet City. On Thursday, 44-year-old Montrell Miller was found lying dead in a home near Rimbach Street and State Line Avenue. Police responded to a call around 10:50 p.m. where they found Miller with a stab wound to his leg. There are conflicting accounts on the residence of Miller, whom police claim lived in East Chicago, but the coroner's office claimed lived at the residence. Miller was pronounced dead around midnight. A teen is recovering from an injury sustained during a shooting in South Shore around 8:24 p.m. on Sunday. The 16-year-old was walking down the street on 71st and Jeffrey when someone began opening fire. A bullet reportedly grazed the teen's face. He was last reported in fair condition at the University of Chicago Medical Center. A man who was struck by a car at the Strex near the border of Calumet City and Hammond on Sibley Boulevard on the 14th died on Tuesday. 51-year-old Justin Fanslau of Bloomingdale, Illinois, passed away at St. Margaret's Hospital. He was walking in the parking lot when a vehicle apparently ran into him and then fled the scene. The vehicle is described as a dark-colored, late 2000s modeled Ford Edge with Indiana plates. Anyone with information is asked to contact Sergeant Gary Parks at 219-852-2942. During the week, the Chicago 4th District Police have made a number of stops and arrests of armed people from vehicle traffic stops. The 4th District Police has posted a number of photos obtained from the arrests that have allowed community residents a glimpse into the types of weapons being recovered during these recent routine traffic stops. Among them was a stop in South Chicago on 79th and Brandon on Sunday, the 24th, that resulted in a number of weapons, including body armor. Those interested can view additional information on the 4th District Police Facebook page. Federal prosecutors are asking a judge for 3.5 years in the sentencing of former Chicago 10th Ward Alderman Edward Verdoliak. Verdoliak pleaded guilty to charges of tax evasion after the feds filed a suit against him in a scheme to take $12 million from an Illinois settlement with tobacco companies. The suit alleges that Verdoliak received payment despite not being involved in the case. He allegedly received the payments while being in prison for an unrelated real estate fraud scheme. Lawyers for the 83-year-old have requested that Verdoliak serve home confinement and argued that his existing health conditions during the pandemic would pose a risk to his life. Sentencing is expected on the 4th of December. The alderman, nicknamed Fast Eddie for his backroom dealings, was elected alderman in the 10th Ward in 1971 and held his seat until 1987. He was famously known for leading what became known as the racially charged Council Wars from 1983 to 1986. The Council Wars was an attempt by the Chicago City Council to obstruct the agenda of Chicago's first black mayor. The effort, led by Verdoliak, pitted 28 Chicago white aldermen against a group of 16 black aldermen and 5 white aldermen. The sole Latino alderman on the council at the time, a Puerto Rican man from the 35th Ward near Logan Square, voted with the Verdoliak bloc. Verdoliak also attempted to run for mayor of the city of Chicago as a Republican candidate. On Tuesday, the Chicago City Council passed a vote on Mayor Lori Lightfoot's 2021 $12.8 billion budget. The budget has raised controversy from parties on all sides of the political spectrum, mainly for its $94 million property tax increase and additional fees, including on speeding tickets.
It's a budget that is rooted in regressive taxation. The mayor has said that her administration exhausted every option available before deciding to balance her budget on the backs of homeowners by increasing property taxes. And let's be real, this puts an even greater burden on the black and brown homeowners that I represent.
Did we do everything in our power to make sure that we balance this budget without doing it on the backs of low-income and working families? And my answer is no. My answer is completely no. We cannot ignore what has happened in this city since the pandemic. As a matter of fact, I'll even go back even further. We can't ignore the history of Chicago and its racist policies and the things it's done for centuries.
Groups including the defunded Chicago Police Department, Chicago Black Lives Matter, the Grassroots Collaborative, and United Working Families criticized the vote and accused Mayor Lightfoot of strong-arming aldermen into voting on the budget. Lightfoot allegedly warned aldermen, "Don't ask me for shit for the next 12 years," if they voted against the plan.
I am voting yes reluctantly, not because of any intimidation by the executive branch, not as an abandonment of the principles that I share with those colleagues and comrades who wanted to see true progressive revenue options such as a pilot program, or those who want to divest from a bloated police budget in this year of principled protest. I firmly believe that those things and many more need to manifest in our city budgets to make our city better. It is what I fought for in the streets, what I knocked on doors, and have lost any semblance of a family life for. I vote yes reluctantly because of the moment we find ourselves in as a city and as a government. We began with a $1.5 billion deficit with minimal funding from a hostile federal administration under Trump, a fair tax that didn't pass, and an Illinois legislature that is not convened now. Our restaurant, hotel, airport, and other industries whose taxes fund our city government have been decimated by COVID. In addition, our public transportation and public event revenue is a fraction of what we could typically expect to generate, and we don't know when those revenues will return, if ever.
The city claims the tax increases will amount to an average of $56 on homes valued at $250,000. The mayor argued the tax increases are necessary to fill budget gaps left by the pandemic and the city's existing deficit. Despite this, the mayor's plan still calls for $1.9 billion in refinancing, an action that many claim initially led to the city's budget deficit issues.
This is what I call scoop and toss on steroids. We are borrowing and refinancing $1.7 billion to kick the barrel down the road. Not the can, but we are kicking the barrel down the road.
Chicago's 10th Ward Alderwoman Susan Sadlowski Garza, who voted for the budget, and the Chicago Federation of Labor claimed they were able to negotiate saving 350 employee jobs and the elimination of planned furlough days for union employees. However, non-union employees may still face some furlough.
This budget, when it was first introduced, included 350 layoffs. For me, that was a line in the sand that I would never cross. I've been fighting for working class people my whole life, and I wasn't about to stop doing that now. I'm grateful that the mayor's team listened to and worked through the concerns of folks like me and all of our brothers and sisters in organized labor. Together, we found a way to avert those layoffs, and we avoided putting hundreds of our critical workers on the street in the middle of the worst economic crisis of our lives.
The budget also includes $1.7 million for youth programming, $2 million for affordable housing, and $7 million for workforce and small business training. Among these is a community-based violence prevention and reduction pilot program to involve mental health professionals and crisis interventionists. Some activist groups, however, claim that these efforts are not nearly enough to address the city's issues, and the expense increase continues to burden residents, including by contributing to gentrification and displacement of poorer residents.
Difficult year for most, and I personally have experienced losing my job, my health insurance, and to top it off, I was brutalized and unjustly arrested by the Chicago police while attending the May 30th protest with medical supplies. What I experienced hardly compares to the trauma Black and brown citizens in this city have and continue to endure at the hands of CPD. That is why I was so thrilled that a budget survey was being offered to us to give us our input and insight and address that over $4.3 million per day in taxpayer dollars goes to an institution with a racist, violent history and presence. I was even more excited to see that 87% of the budget takers, or nearly 33,000 Chicagoans, agreed. Money needed to be reallocated from the police department to other underfunded departments across the city. But you didn't listen to us, or you didn't seem to care. What's the point of giving us a platform to speak and then ignoring our voices? Alderman Rodriguez-Sanchez's proposed treatment at trauma amendment, calling for $5 million to be reallocated from CPD's operating budget and instead spent on a non-law enforcement first responder model for mental health crises, has been neglected by this administration's budget.
During the week, hundreds of Chicago area nursing home workers took to the streets to demand better wages and protective equipment. Workers from 11 nursing homes that are run by the Infinity Healthcare Management Company began a strike. The workers that are part of the SEIU are asking that minimum pay for certified nursing assistants, CNAs, rise to $15.50 an hour, while the minimum wage for other workers increase to $15 an hour. One nursing home worker who is a CNA claims to only be making $12.20 an hour after working for 11 years. The union's actions involve workers including CNAs, dietary aides, housekeepers, and laundry workers. An investigation by ABC News found areas in the 60617 zip code that includes a large portion of Chicago's southeast side to be the second most highest in the city to have unresolved 311 calls. The team looked into calls from the fall of 2019 to the fall of 2020 with over 1 million complaints. According to the report, around 9% of the calls are still categorized as open, with 3,730 of those complaints being in the predominantly Black and Latino 60617 zip code that includes parts of Chicago's 8th, 7th, and 10th wards. In national news, the U.S. Border and Customs Protection Agency has settled a lawsuit with 2 women in Montana. The 2 women, Ana Suda from Texas and Martha Hernandez from California, were out shopping when a Border Patrol agent stopped them. When asked why they were being detained, the agent replied because they were speaking Spanish. The agent stated that people speaking Spanish is unheard of in this area.
Ma'am, the reason I asked you for your ID is because I came in here and I saw that you guys are speaking Spanish, which is very unheard of up here.
Okay.
Just run your name and date of birth.
We have absence.
It has to do with you guys speaking Spanish in the store.
Spanish in the store.
In the state where it's predominantly English speaking.
Okay.
The 2 were detained for 40 minutes while undergoing questioning. News reports suggest that the town they were stopped in has a Hispanic population of 4%, with many residents claiming a non-English primary language. The 2 ladies claimed racial profiling and a violation of their Fourth Amendment rights, which prohibits unreasonable searches and equal protection under the law.
7-year-old daughter saw the video and said, "Should you not speak Spanish anymore?" How do you explain this to her?
Well, I was upstairs and she watched a video with my husband. I didn't watch it at that time. And she came and say, "Mommy, it's like, you were on the television." I say, "Oh, I know." She's like, "We can't speak Spanish anymore." So I feel very sad. It's when I decide I'm going to, to bring this to somebody else for help, the ACLU, because I told her, you need to be proud, Bondra. You need to be proud because you speak Spanish and you speak in English. You are very smart. You speak 2 languages. Right. And you need to be proud to speak.
The Border Patrol settled the case for an undisclosed amount. In other local news, a 7-year-old girl who was missing from South Shore was located and is now safe at home with her family. 7-year-old Jaya Meeks was reported missing on Sunday the 22nd from a South Shore home. Thankfully, she is now safe at home with her family. And finally, before we end this week in review, several local groups are looking for assistance for worthy causes during the holiday seasons. First, the Bridges Puentes Collective is organizing a toy drive. The group is organizing a toy drive to help sponsor needy families from Chicago's Southeast Side.
We're excited about helping 20 families in our own community have a great holiday. So we're looking to buy some really cool toys for your kids.
They are collecting donations of toys at lawn cars located on 3201 East 92nd Street. They are also accepting monetary donations using the information provided above. The Chicago chapter of the National Brown Berets is also looking for donations to provide to families across Chicago. They are collecting canned goods and other non-perishable items, including clothing. They are collecting them at the Trim Barbershop located at 3837 East 106th Street in Chicago. And that ends our weekly review for November 23rd through November 29th, 2020. Thank you for joining us for this week in review. Peace.
Winter in America. Yes, and all of the healers have been killed, sent away. Yeah, but the people know it's winter. Winter in America. Nobody knows what to say. Save your soul. Lord knows from winter in America.